Alright, my name is Sean Fallon, and you're listening to episode 31 How I Met Your Mother. Welcome to From First to Last. Hello again and welcome again. My name is Sean Fallon. This is From First to Last. Today I'm joined by a very special guest. She is Miss Christina Cox. Hello, Chris. How are you?
I'm well.
Excellent. What show did you choose for us today?
I chose How I Met Your Mother.
Okay, now How I Met Your Mother, to get started, we'll do numbers, but How I Met Your Mother ran for 208 episodes from 2005 to 2014. Now, as a slight caveat to the start of this episode, a lot of people did ask me to do this show. And they would say, I want to do How I Met Your Mother because I love How I Met Your Mother. And I don't. And I didn't want to have that sort of thing. Me and Chris are really on the same page, so I'm going for that. But I will say this. If you are someone who absolutely loves How I Met Your Mother, stick with us, listen to the episode, don't take it personally, and then get in touch and we'll do a positive episode later. Okay, I just want to open with that. So, Chris, what is your experience with How I Met Your Mother?
I fucking hate that show.
Okay, there we go.
Is it okay to say that? Can I swear?
You can swear. You can swear as much as you want.
Oh my god, man. There's so much I hate about it.
Okay, well, let's start from the start. How did you come to watch it?
Okay, so it's a bit of a sad story. I was going through some stuff.
Okay.
I was feeling quite unhappy.
Right.
I thought, I just need something that I can watch that I can watch without getting too involved, something that's like lighthearted and might make me laugh and whatever. So I saw that How I Met Your Mother was on Netflix, turned it on, watched the first episode and was like, hey, that's what it is. Let's give this second episode a go. And of course, with Netflix autoplay function, I just kept on watching. And then like several weeks later and 9 seasons later, I was like, what the fuck was I thinking? What the fuck did I just do with my life?
Yeah.
But anyway.
No, I can definitely... My story is slightly different and possibly it might be a bit more tragic. So the show came out in 2005. I was living overseas. I think I was in Thailand. I remember talking to my parents and them saying that they watched the show and they loved it. They loved it and also, sorry, I should say this to the people at home, my wife is also in the room, so you might hear a noise in the background, or me addressing someone who you can't hear. My parents said that I was very much like Barney.
Ew. Oh, God!
Or Barney reminded them of me back in my wild days. This is I was like 21 when, So it came out in 2005, and I think the first couple of seasons had been on, and I had no real access to it because I was living in Thailand, and this is like pre-torrents, not really much streaming. You could get DVDs from the market, but you couldn't just watch the show. Then when I moved to Korea, I managed to get hold of the first 2 or 3 seasons. I binged them. I absolutely fucking adored the show. Caught up with America, had a couple of weeks off, came on in America. I had to stream it from some really dodgy Chinese streaming site. It was an absolute nightmare. And then the next episode came on, and it was such a nightmare to stream it that I just couldn't be asked. And I should have taken that as a warning that when the slightest roadblock was put in my place, I was out.
Yeah.
So then I didn't watch it for years and years and years. Then when I moved to Istanbul, we used to take this bus up the hill every day to go to work. It took about half an hour to 45 minutes, and I was putting TV shows on my iPad. And they'd announced that How You Met Your Mother was going to end in season 9. So I think this was like midway through season 7. They said, okay, we're only going to do it till 9, then we'll quit. And being a bit of a completist and thinking I couldn't think of a show, I downloaded what they were up to. And then I got to a point where, I think for the last 2 years, I was watching it in real time. Like I was watching it week by week. And the show, I mean, I think it's common. It's like a common thing that the show peaked at like year 4. And then just died the slow death. So let's get into this. How did you feel watching this first episode again?
Okay, so I actually felt like I'd been a little bit unfair on the show.
Okay.
Yeah, so looking at it with fresh eyes, it has the makings of a really good sitcom.
Yeah.
Like, the characters are good enough. There's enough there. There's some funny aspects. kind of an interesting premise, like
Yeah.
the year 2030. That said, there's just not like it just doesn't quite hit it. I think it's missing some crucial aspect to like make me like it. There's just something really unlikable about it. I don't know what it is, but I do. But
no, I mean, and I think it is that thing of everyone in it is good. Like all the actors and actresses are good. Like and the characters are pretty much there. And I wrote down like every time I laughed. And I'm like, there was some good laughs in there.
So when I was actually watching it, James, my husband, kept a tally of every time I laughed. I think there were 4 times over the entire series.
No, I was talking to James last night because we were talking about doing this recording, and he was like, he remembers a situation where you laughed and you paused it and turned to him and said, "I just laughed." Put it in the calendar. I just laughed at How I Met Your Mother. And it's very interesting, actually, because I think my wife had the same experience, but the other way around. Like, when she watched the show, she said she just stared at it. And it was colours and it moved around, and an episode would finish and another episode would start, and she just watched it in bits and pieces. And we used to describe it as being like visual chewing gum. Yeah. Like you got no sustenance from it, but it still moved your jaw. Yeah. You know? And I think that's very true. And I think you're right, like that first episode, I was watching it and I was like, this is a competent episode of television. Like it moves. There's some jokes. The characters are quite likable. It sets up the premise very quickly. Yeah. But it is competent enough for 9 seasons. I feel like it has to be brilliant for 9 seasons. Like, because things don't really... Like, 9 seasons is a fucking great run of television. Like, even shows that are, like, fantastic don't run that long. I mean, I think Friends ran for 10. You know, I think Cheers ran for... Cheers and Frasier ran for that long. But they were, like... I think the problem with How I Met Your Mother, on a very basic level, is the concept doesn't have legs enough for 9 years. It's very much this idea of this one guy who, we will get into him in a moment, who has this thing of like, this is how I met your mother. So he has to meet her, but the show got too successful, so it went on too long. So by the time he meets her, you're like, yeah, but why have you spent this time telling your kids about all these other girls you've been with? And a lot of this has been about other people than you, dude. Yeah. You know, and like, I think, and we'll talk about this at length when we get to this fucking last episode. Like, I think they didn't have enough story and they dragged it out and all that. And I think the thing I found the most from watching this episode is how, like I said, it's competent, it's got a few lines, but it's very weird. Yeah. It's a very weird show. Like, the very basic concept is like, not the How I Met Your Mother bit, but it's this guy who's like 27 who just really, really wants to get married. Yeah. To a point of obsession. Yeah. And there's scenes where, when he was saying to, like, Marshall, when he's going to go, he's got the blue French horn, he's going to go up to the thing and, like, go and kiss Robin for the first time and all that. And he says to Marshall, like, oh, remember this, because you'll be saying this in my best man speech. And I was watching, like, right, so I think I'm supposed to be like, this is interesting and endearing. But if you flip the genders, it's a horror film. Yeah, totally. You know, it's a horror film about some crazy bitch who's like, oh, I went on a date with this girl once, now she's trying to marry... And it ends up with her getting killed by the cops on a rooftop. Yeah. You know, and I think... And there was just so much of that stuff in the show where I was just like, this is really weird. It's unsettling as well. Look, I don't want to get too, like, cultural studies 101, but the gender politics in that show are so bad. They are. Really bad. And there's just... That was a huge barrier for me to actually enjoy it. Yeah, I mean, I think this is we can really get into it if we want to be, like, fully, like, say, gender studies or something like that, but there is a thing that I sort of found after the finale had been on, and I was thinking about this show for so long, because I had given it so much of my time, and I'd, like, defended it but I defended it for a few years, and I got to a point where I was like, I just want to see it end. I just want to, you know when people, people are on death row, and the family of the person they've murdered goes and watches them get executed so they can see them die? Yeah. That's how I was with this show. Yeah. If I didn't see it end, then it might still be out there. Yeah, totally. And it could kill again. Yeah. But when I'd had that last episode and I was thinking backwards, I did have that weird thing of, like, and I think it is definitely the gender politics of when you think about the 3 male characters, as being sort of like adolescent boy fantasies of men, in the sense of like, I'm a teenage boy, I want to meet the perfect woman and she will be me as a woman.
Yeah.
Or I want to meet a woman who has only ever had sex with me and she's mad in love with me, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
Or you're Barney and you just do whatever you want.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the one thing that comes to my mind is the Cool Girl chapter in Gone Girl. Have you read that?
100%, yeah.
It's just like all of the women in the show are
the cool Amy.
Well, I say all of the women, but I mean Lily and Robin and the mother, forgotten her name, whatever that is, Tracy, who is barely in the show anyway. They're all the cool girl. They're all
There's a whole episode where I think Robin goes on I don't think she goes on a date with Barney. I think she just goes out with Barney. And they go to a place, and she orders cigars, and she orders Johnny Walker Blue and the perfect Monte Cristo cigar, and she goes and plays fucking laser tag, and it's like, and she's one of the guys.
She's happy to go to the strip club with him.
Yeah.
Oh, God!
And it's very much, it's exactly as you say, it's the cool Amy chapter in Gone Girl, where it's like, no one can eat that many chili dogs. That idea of like, and obviously listening, if you haven't watched or read Gone Girl, get it watched. Or get it read, it's even better as a book. But that concept of like, and the same with Lily, it's that idea of like, I don't know if you've seen the Amy Schumer sketch of like girls who can hang.
I haven't.
And it gets into this point where you've got like 4 dudes around a table and they can see Amy on the other side and she's like drinking a pint of beer and I think she's like watching sports and she's just being one of the boys. And in the end the guy's like, oh yeah, I want a girl like that. I want a girl who can hang. I want this, I want that. And then by the end they're just talking about that they just want to fuck a man.
Yeah, totally.
And that's the whole thing. And it's that weird thing of like, all the girls are one of the boys. There's nothing remotely feminine really about their thing. Like the most feminine character is probably Ted, but in terms of like
totally.
as a weakness.
Yeah, totally. That's like that's the butt of the joke of Ted. Is that
he's a bit of a girl.
Yeah, it's so stupid. Oh, sorry. I'll try not to say it's so stupid all the time.
No, I mean that is the thing with the show. It's that weird. There's so much. I mean, because obviously a big part of one of the character's things is that he tricks women into having sex with him. Like that is. I remember watching the show and just being like, "Oh, Barney, he's a card," and then you kind of like think about it, like, "Yeah, but isn't that? Ooh, no." I think you could go to jail for that.
It's really wrong. And it's kind of like, he's like proto-rape culture. Because I think like the whole Barney thing kind of happened before like people were calling out rape culture on Twitter and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, so
it's cool what he was doing. Yeah. It was like, well, the show is
funny, apparently.
Yeah.
Like, ha ha ha, these girls,
but they were always they were stupid. They were like, I remember Robin having a whole thing about how dumb the girls were.
Yeah.
And you're like, but that doesn't make it okay.
Yeah.
And there was also, I remember seeing, I mean, if this show was on now, we'd be arguing with men's rights activists about it.
Oh, yeah.
And there'd be a whole idea of like, well, because Neil Patrick Harris is gay, it's satire. But I don't think it is.
I don't think it was ever meant to be satirical. I think it was like, ha ha ha, everyone has that friend who's like pretty wrong and, oh, you can't say that, Barney, but ha ha ha, it's like pretty funny anyway. And all of these kind of periphery characters in the show, like now it's so hard not to be like, that's a person. Yeah. Like you can't treat people like that. That's gross.
And they did sort of like, they gave it slightly lip service because Lily was disgusted by him. But it was in a funny way. And they were also like, well, this is Barney. Yeah. But at the same time, like, that character, I think that character, just through force of will and charm by Neil Patrick Harris, became the breakout character.
Yeah.
So they did get to a point where, like, well, this guy has pretty much hit a wall with how fucking dark we can make him.
Yeah.
So we need to kind of pull him back. So they spent quite a few years having him with Robin, and that was supposed to, like, redeem him.
Yeah.
But then the last episode flips that, because the weird thing, and we'll get more into the last episode in a minute, but the weird thing that the last episode does in terms of Barney is that they have given him 9 years of character development, which they then flip around and reverse, and then they reverse it again.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you settle
They
down.
put their thing down, flip it, and reverse it.
There you go, exactly.
Oh, sorry, that's a joke from last night. Never mind.
Oh, it's an evergreen joke. Everyone
joke.
get it. But yeah, I mean that's the weird thing. Like I don't know, it was that thing of like, the character needed to be... there wasn't enough, like the whole slapping thing, I always found that quite fun. Because I think the show had some interesting concepts and ideas.
The
slap bet.
Slap bet, yeah.
When you had like 5 slaps, you could fuck him up.
Yeah.
Like I think the show did have, just to go off Barney for a second, but it did have that thing of like, when it was doing creative mad stuff, it did it really well. Like it was better than something like Friends. Like if Friends wanted to do an episode about their college years, they'd have to have the whole episode with like flashback.
Yeah.
Whereas because of like the speed of what How I Met Your Mother were doing, it was like, oh, do you remember that time last year when whoosh, and it would whip to it and it would whip back? Like, these cool snap away jokes.
I really liked that. Yeah.
Like I think it did have good. Well, it's an interesting thing actually. I don't know if you knew this. Pamela Fryman, the TV director, she directed 196 episodes of the show. Like that doesn't happen. You don't have one director do the whole thing unless it's like David Lynch for Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
So this woman just directed, like she developed that style, and that was she directed so many of them, which just blew my mind.
Yeah.
But yeah,
just on that, there were lots of little jokes in there that were really funny, like how when they were smoking joints, that it was always a sandwich because he didn't want to tell his kids he was smoking weed.
Yeah,
I thought that was super cute. I was like, so funny, and then like they're eating these huge,
and it just like giggling,
and like when they were like smoking a massive blunt, the sandwich would be like out to here. It was really good.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing because like when they did like creative mad stuff, like I always liked the running joke of the pineapple mystery. Like he finds the pineapple and he couldn't explain it, and it just
that was good.
Kept going. And I think they even like the big payoff for that was in the last season where someone mentions it and he goes, "Yeah, no, I'm done with that." And it flashes to, and he's in a room, and there's just like pictures of pineapples everywhere, and a big chalkboard and a question mark, and there's string going everywhere, and he's like, "No," and he just starts packing it all away. Like that's a really good joke. I like that.
And doesn't it like they kind of hinted that they're going to explain how the pineapple happened with like the goat in his room, and like there's this like whole other mystery that they never actually reveal. That's like a really funny joke.
Well,
so much funnier than Barney hits on girls when they don't want him to hit on him.
That's it. Like there was lots of good stuff like that because it reminded me at first, it reminded me loads of Lost. Okay. Like, in a sense, like, you watched Lost because it was this interesting concept that had a mystery that you wanted to solve.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it actually has quite a few more similarities because the ending is very divisive. And also, the main character in Lost and the main character in How I Met Your Mother are probably the least interesting characters of the ensemble. And they gradually fall, even though they're supposed to be the main character, they gradually fall into the background. But the problem with How I Met Your Mother is so... But you can take Jack out of Lost and have all the rest of them, but Ted has to be front and center.
Yeah.
And poor Josh Radnor, who played him, probably his character had enough material for the first 4 years, and then just got, like, sidelined to just have a different girlfriend who would only last for the season and break his heart.
Totally. And they were always like, maybe this is the mother, or maybe this is the mother, maybe it's this girl. And that just got so boring.
Yeah, and that was it. They sort of like boxed themselves in because they had to have that mystery. Well, they didn't have to because they could have done the Lost, like, again, to the Lost. Did you ever watch Lost?
I watched when it was on TV in like 2003. I watched a few of the first season, but I never. It was
if you hooked you in, you couldn't get away. But I actually did the same thing as this. I watched it, stopped watching it, got back into it, watched it. But interesting, like in halfway through like the 4th season, they get off the island, and then they get back on the island.
Oh.
So they could have had How I Met Your Mother after a certain point been like, right, let's just introduce the mother, and she can just be a character in it, and it'll be like, okay, well, rather than waiting for that first meeting, we'll just bring her in now, and then we'll have the first year can be how they got married, and the second year can be the first kid, and we'll just keep going until the show runs out of steam.
They might as well have done that because
the thing was, it became the sort of like. So doing a bit of research today, I was absolutely amazed by this. There was 9 seasons of it. The end of year 6, the cliffhanger was that Barney was going to get married. You didn't know who the bride was, but you obviously knew it was Robin.
Yeah,
and then the cliffhanger of year 7 was that Robin was the bride.
Yeah.
So you waited a whole year to find out something you probably already knew. And then the cliffhanger at the end of 8 was that they were going to go to the wedding and that the mother was going to be there. Yeah. And then the last season was the wedding. Yeah,
and the last season was just one day.
It was a weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a weekend in.
So like,
how many episodes?
At that point, you're like, right, so you've made us wait 4 years for this. And they weren't even like cliffhangers like, oh my god, who's Barney going to get married? You're like, there's not that many characters.
Yeah.
He's not going to marry Lily.
Yeah. No.
He's not going to marry Ted, which would have been amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think the show was a victim of its own success in that sense of like...
But where did that success come from? Why did people like this show? Why did they like it?
Catchphrases is my theory.
Well, yeah. I mean, I did hear a lot of people saying legend, wait for it, dairy.
Yeah,
And
I mean...
other
things. Well, I have here in my notes, suit up.
God.
And also, in that first episode, Barney's suits and his ties are really shitty. Like, he pulls it together. In the finale, like, he's in a suit, and I was like, that's a crisp suit. But the first one, you're like, it's 2005. People were wearing skinny ties.
Yeah.
I was wearing a skinny tie.
People looked better than that in 2005.
Yeah. Like, it's like, oh, wear a suit, and you're like, well, you look like someone's dad, and you're in a shit pub. If you're a guy in a suit in a pub, people are like, oh, you just come from a funeral? Wedding?
Yeah.
You're not
Court?
Court,
Probably, because you've been accused of sexually assaulting someone,
Yeah,
which you do on a nightly basis.
Yeah, because you're a pervert and a weirdo, and you prey on unsuspecting women who have just arrived in New York, which I think happens in an episode. So, I just want to just, again, going back on the weirdness, why, all of them taking the cab to Robin's apartment so they can do a kiss is weird. And also, as well, like, in terms of the pilot, there's a very weird thing that happens that just sort of struck me. And I've watched this first episode a couple of times, because I watched it when I watched it with someone else. I was on to get them hooked on the show and so on. And I've never really noticed this, but, like, there's a bit of a major plot point where Barney says to Marshall, don't get married. And Marshall says, yeah, I'm scared of not spending my whole life with Lily. And then she's there and she gives him a big kiss. And it's like, this is a conflict that didn't exist.
Yeah.
Like, he wanted to propose and he did. And then he's like, don't get married. And he's like, no, I want to get married. And that's it. Like, so start the show where they're already engaged and he's having cold feet. And because he's having cold feet, maybe that sort of spurs Ted on to panic and get married. I don't know. Well, you got to have him get engaged to freak out Ted. But, like, he hasn't shown anything but confidence that he wants to marry Lily. Yeah. So it's just this weird crisis.
Wasn't the whole thing with Lily and Marshall, their relationship was that, you know, they'd kind of put their thing down, flipped it and reversed it gender-wise, because Lily was the one that got cold feet and ran away.
Yes.
And then Marshall was the one that was heartbroken and pining for her and waiting for her to come back, which she does.
Yeah.
But, I mean, again, it's, like, pretty tacked on.
Yeah.
I mean... Yeah, I kind of got why they were doing that in the first episode, to kind of establish them as, like, this tight couple.
Yeah.
But, it's weird. It's not, it doesn't make
it's sort of just to pad out the runtime. You're like, I didn't need this. I can pick it up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally. Like, they don't need anyone challenging that. Yeah. Like, if that's their thing, that they're, like, this tight couple, just have that as the thing, or have it as the thing and then introduce the conflict down the track.
Yeah, that's it.
As you said. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very odd, and I do have a note that's for that first episode that simply says Ted is insane.
God.
And I think Ted is insane.
Yeah.
I think. Well, when I was watching it this morning, as I told you when you came here before, like, my wife was just moving through the room, and the time when she actually stopped and started watching it with me was when Ted's left Robin's apartment, and he sort of says to her, I'll be a great husband and I'm a good kisser and all that. And Fiona's just watching, she was like, this is fucking pathetic. She's like, if a dude said that to me, I'd just be like, hit the fucking bricks.
Oh, totally. And I hated how Robin,
she's charmed. She's gorgeous.
She's gorgeous and, like, has, you know, this whole thing, her whole career ahead of her, and she's, like, this cool woman who's, like, trying to live her best life, and she's all, like, jelly-legged at Ted being creepy and weird.
Like, and totally creepy. Like, he's known her for, like, 12 hours.
Yeah. And, I don't get how Ted gets any girls. He's the worst. He is gross.
He is gross.
Like...
No, I mean... Well, the other thing as well, actually, going back slightly, with the whole thing about the signal for kissing. And there was that whole thing of, like, oh, you don't need a signal. Like, nah, that's like one more conversation away from you don't need consent. Yeah. You know, that got really weird.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's, like, moments throughout the series when Barney's basically like, yeah, I just fucked her while she was asleep and stuff like that.
I could 100% believe
obviously
that.
Not using the F word.
Yeah, no, but it's just in the middle of one of the shows. It's like, hey guys, suit up. Fuck this chick while she was asleep.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go play laser tag. Okay, well, do you have anything else to add about that first episode? And obviously, if you think of anything, we can come back. But
I don't think so. I did kind of want to go into a bit of like a character, like an analysis of the main characters. I think we've kind of done that.
Sorry, I did have one note here. There was a thing where I can't remember the exact bit, but it was something where Ted was talking either to Robin or about Robin. And the whole thing had very much this, like, you're not like other girls.
Oh, yeah.
It was very much the sense of, like... Because when he describes this perfect woman, and it was a bit weird, like, was it dogs, Ghostbusters...
Doesn't like olives or likes olives or something.
Some olive bullshit.
Yeah.
And another thing, and it was like... And there was something he said, like, it was a weird, like... That's something I hate. Like, hate it. Anyway, character study, go for it.
I'm trying to think about what I like and dislike about Lily and Marshall.
Okay.
Because in the scheme of things, they're kind of less hateable than the other characters, but it kind of makes them more hateable in a way.
Okay.
So, Marshall's just a big fat baby. Like, he's a child. And
yeah, I mean, you could imagine him being on, like, My Strange Addiction, and he is just an adult baby.
Yeah, totally. And Lily is kind of like his mum. And I know that, like, that's a joke in the show. They
do go into that with his crazy-ass mother.
Yeah. But even so, like, I don't know. I just feel like they had the makings of really nice characters. Like, they are characters that could give you the warm and fuzzies and, like... You don't want that all the time, but, you know, it didn't have to go to the lengths of creepiness that it did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, that goes back to what I was saying before about, like a teenage boy or an adolescent fantasy of, like, I just, I want someone who's going to look after me and put up with me and essentially mother me.
Yeah.
And I think that is, you're very right in that sense of, like, I mean, I like Jason Segel, I like Alison Hannigan, like, and I think I do like those characters to a certain point. But I do find that, like, when I'm on Twitter and someone puts on #relationship goals and it's like a screen grab from How I Met Your Mother, it tends to be something where you're like, yeah, but that doesn't work in the real world.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind seeing, like, a fictional couple and being like, yeah, that doesn't actually happen, but it ran for 9 years.
Yeah.
It was just relentless.
And that's not the benchmark for, like, none of the relationships in How I Met Your Mother are like, like, they're all terrible.
Yeah.
They're all terrible.
Well, I mean, the only relationship on TV that's ever even slightly that you want to be is Tammy and Coach.
Totally.
Flashback to the Friday Night Lights episode 4, 5, 6, 7, or whatever.
By the way, I started watching Friday Night Lights because of this podcast.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So hopefully someone listens to this and they go, you know what, I'm not going to watch that. I'm out. But I think you've hit that nail on the head. He is a giant baby and she is like his caregiver.
Yeah, it's sad.
With like this real kind of, there's a very heightened sexual thing. Which again is sort of that thing of like, I want a chick who can hang who's just going to talk about fucking.
Yeah. Yeah.
And change my diapers.
Yeah.
Which is
How I fucked your mother. How I fucked my mother.
Well, that's how this podcast got cancelled. Okay, who's next?
Who's next? Well, we've sort of said everyone, haven't we?
Yeah, I guess, Robin's not Robin. Like other girls.
Of course, Robin. Yeah, no, she's, like, pretty cool.
They do sort of try and give her a backstory to explain why she is the way she is, because you've got Ray Wise from Twin Peaks as her sort of... And I think that, as a little TV show within a TV show, I really liked that weird Canadian freakishness, where they're like on helicopters hunting wolves.
Yeah,
and shit.
yeah.
I
loved that she was Canadian. I thought that was a Canadian pop star. I thought that was so funny.
Genius. Yeah. Robin Sparkles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Let's go to the
genius.
mall.
Perfect.
So funny. Yeah.
Because it's great, because, like... I love the fact that Kobe Smulders, like that actress, has gone on to become a movie star. Like, she's in all like the Avengers and all that kind of stuff. But she is so funny.
Yeah.
Like, that whole thing, because she was always that sort of like quite serious character and she'd have a good zinger, but that kind of thing to be like, oh no, I'm going to get up and get in the full denim.
Yeah.
Because she does Robin Sparkles about 5 times,
Yeah.
and there's no diminishing returns.
Yeah,
Every time that comes on, it's great.
Yeah, when she goes into her Alanis Morissette phase, so fun. It's so good.
It's genius.
That joke is a gift that keeps giving.
That's it.
And like, I wished that was kind of in. I mean, you don't want it to be in every episode, but yeah, that was done so well. Thumbs up, How I Met Your Mother, for that joke.
No, I think definitely if we're not going to itemize every joke, but Robin Sparkles.
You kind of have to though, because there's not that many funny parts.
Because I think you get stuck in a whole thing of like things that you don't like, and then there's too many things.
Yeah,
but, like,
yeah.
I think that's great. I think the slap bet is genius. Like, there's an episode where I think it's the Thanksgiving one, and because Neil Patrick Harris is such a ridiculous like physical actor, and Jason Segel just cracks him, and he goes over the couch and over the chair. And it's a great thing. And then Jason Segel does the song, and it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
That's it.
There was one moment where Barney says, "What in the world is up?" And I thought that was pretty funny.
Oh, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go with
And also I laughed one time when he did a self-fire, but only one time.
Only one time.
Yeah.
I think that a lot.
That might have been in one of my the lowest points.
I'm trying to think, like, in... my notes are crap for this. They've just put laugh and then a line of dialogue, and one of them is just laugh and just says, "What up?" But I can't remember what the line of dialogue was, but they were all Barney lines.
Yeah.
Like, I've got perfect metaphor. Can't remember that one is. I did, when they were talking about banging a newsreader, and it was like, this just in. I kind of had a giggle at that. I had a giggle at it, wrote it down, and was like, I might cross that out.
Yeah.
I'll stop laughing already.
Yeah, I'm laughing at the fact you laughed at it.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, let's get into this finale.
Okay.
So, fuck this finale. It's probably one of the most divisive I've ever seen. Lost is hugely divisive, but it's very much a sense of like hate it or love it.
Mm-hmm.
Sopranos finale is very much people are coming back round to that.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is it shits the bed so aggressively. Like, it's like a bad... Okay. Yeah, no. I watched this about 3 hours ago, and I was like, I'm going to just have to calm right the fuck down.
I love that there's like not even words to describe how bad this is. It's just... so much of it. Sean has gone red, and his face is so screwed up right now.
The thing is, all they needed to do was put Ted and Tracy in the same room and have him say, "I'm Ted," and her say, "I'm Tracy." Boom.
Perfect.
Done. Like, the show even almost gives you that and then takes it away. Like the ending when he's like, it's, I think it's Everything But the Girl, or like Tracy Thorne's playing music in the background, and they're talking about the umbrella. It's this lovely, sweet moment. Yeah. And then he says, "And that kid," and it cuts to the future, he's like, "And that kid is How I Met Your Mother." And the kid goes, "And that's it?" And he goes, "That's it." And like, end.
Yeah.
Just fucking end there. The rest of it, there's other stuff we got to talk about, but that's the one thing you've got to get right in a show called How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And the fact that they add that twist that because you guys just give me 2 minutes. So the fact that last season has, obviously, Ted is still in love with Robin. There's a locket, there's a thing, there's lies, there's betrayal, there's the whole thing. But then there's that episode, like 2 or 3 before the end, when he talks to her and he tells her, and she just basically says, "No, you're not for me. We're mates. Done."
Yeah.
And she floats away
hint, Ted.
Yeah. And
Jesus.
She floats away like a fucking balloon or some stupid thing.
Yeah, that's right.
And then that's it. And you're like, cool. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Because this character has been introduced in the first episode as being someone who is obsessive and weird. So you have to have the point where he realizes that being obsessive and weird isn't the way to be. And he needs to just, like, get over himself. And he does. And you're like, cool. In the final episode, you see him, he sees the bass player, and it's like, okay, he's had like love at first sight, and so on and so on. Like, this is working fine. And then he wants to be a Robin. You're like, well, what was the point of any of this? What was the point of any of this?
Yeah, totally. And like his kid's like, duh, it's so obvious. And it's like,
not to me.
Yeah, no, we were done with that. We had accepted that maybe Ted wasn't as creepy and shit as we thought he was, and he was like going to live his best life with
Yeah.
Oh no, but she's dead.
Oh, she
dead.
she dead. They introduced Tracy in that final season, and I really, really like that character. I thought they did really well. They did too well. Because by the time you get to the final episode, she's charmed the shit out of me, and then she's dead.
Yeah.
Like, unceremoniously dead.
Yeah, unceremoniously. She's just dead. She's just killed off.
Yeah, it's like, oh, and she got sick, and then the daughter says, 6 years ago, since Mum's gone, you're like, give us a funeral. Ted has been the most fucking emotional character for 9 years.
Yeah.
Give us some grief.
Yeah.
Nothing at all. Yeah. And like, then, I knew, there was a clue throughout the final season that she was dead. I was like, right, she's dead. If she's dead, that's fine, because it makes the last part very bittersweet. He's going to tell the kids how he met the mother. Yeah. He's like, you're old enough now, I want to tell you the whole story. You're like, cool, that's it. Yeah. Now, there is a certain degree that makes sense of that thing of like, well, if the story's all about Robin, yeah, it makes sense to start at the first episode where he meets Robin. Yeah. Okay, fine. But, well, I need to actually go back a bit more. So, behind the scenes, season 2, they filmed that finale with him talking to the kids, because the kids are going to get too old, the show might run for forever, right? So we need to get this locked in. So we lock that in, and then like, this is our finale. But then the problem is, the show, I get the feeling they thought this show will run for 5 years. Yeah. And in 5 years, we can have him meet the mother die, gets with Robin, and that will all work as a thing. Yeah. But then the show keeps going. So you're like, okay, well, we can't have him pining over Robin forever, so they sort of drop it in, take it out, and drop it in, take it out. Then she gets with Barney, and then you do have the thing of, like I said before, the cliffhanger for season 6 is Barney getting married. Season 7 is fucking Robin's getting married to Barney. 8 is the wedding's about to start. 9 is the entire wedding. They get divorced at minute 9 of the finale. Yeah. Like, are you out of your fucking minds? You can't do that. You can't have us be like, oh, let's get invested in this whole thing, and like, oh my god, Barney's been redeemed. He's better. But in the end, the moral I took from this is, if your wife has a better career than you, get divorced.
Yeah, it's not going to work out.
Not going to work out, because, it's not great, because she travels a lot. She's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. No time for Barney.
No time for Barney.
But I did think it was kind of cool how they were like, look, we don't have a failed marriage. We had a great marriage. It's just come to an end now. And I was like,
that's cool.
Yeah, like, that's a cool one-line redemption for that narrative device.
It was quite mature in its own way, because it was sort of like, for as good as the show can be in that sense, but it was like, it didn't. Why did Robin then have to become really distant? Like, why was that a plot? Like, there were so many scenes in this final episode that were like Lily crying, like, but we're going to be there for the big moments. Like, what are you talking about? Why are we talking about this so much?
Yeah,
why was Ted and the fucking mother?
Yeah.
That's what we came here for.
Why is Lily so desperate to keep the group together? Because it's not that great a group.
It's not a great group.
They're not really very good people.
Yeah. It's just like, well,
it's like they're all shit blokes.
You're pretty rubbish. You get some other friends. Get some other friends who are women. Or maybe that's it. She's worried that she'll just be her and those fucking assholes. Well, Robin's off being a career woman.
Yeah.
One thing that two random things that, well, one's not really that random, but one is when they have the flashback at the start about Robin joining the group, which again makes no sense because why is the focus? If Robin was the main character in the show, this is a pretty good finale for her. Yeah. Because it's that idea of like, well, I didn't have friends, I had these friends, and then I left these friends, and so on. And I don't know why this wound me up so much, because I was ready to be wound up. I was ready to be angry. When they're all together and she says, well, now I'm part of the gang, I should get the next round in. And she gets up and I was like, there's a full jug of beer on the table and everyone's got a full glass. Where are you going, girl? And then later on she does the same thing. She's like, well, I'll get the round in. Like, no, everyone's got drinks. Stop leaving.
The fact that they're always drinking in every scene was a real problem for the show, because there are so many continuity errors where the glasses just like change fullness. And
well, there was a lot of drinking as well.
Yeah. I kind of felt like that was, I don't know if it's a good representation, but I related to that aspect. I was like, you know what, people in their 20s and early 30s are drunk quite a lot of the time.
That's it. I think to go back to positives, like one thing I really liked about the show was, well, there's two things. One, I like the fact that they laughed at jokes within the show. Yeah. Like, I like the idea that if someone made a joke, other people laughed. Like, yeah, because that's what happens. It's not just someone just says something and the audience laughs. And the other thing as well is, like, the thing that they hit on that was really good or really well done, was if you're in a group of friends and you're getting a bit pissed or whatever, or you're just planning on having banter, and you fuck up, they do not let you forget about it until the joke runs its course.
Yeah.
So there was always that thing if someone would misspeak, or they would say a name wrong, or someone would find out your middle name, and they'd rip the fuck out of you for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I think the show did that really well.
Yeah. Like all the kind of awful things about friendships, like the annoying things about friendships.
Yeah, because sometimes like your friends are a pain in the ass, and I think they did really well. Like that was something that, because this show gets compared a lot to Friends.
Yeah.
And I think Friends never did that. Like, there was never a sense of, like, or if it was a huge thing. But you would have, like, little in-jokes. And I think that was sort of the addictive thing with How I Met Your Mother. Yeah. Because you hung out with these people. Yeah. And you had the in-jokes. So you're like, oh, I get that, and get the reference. The other thing that annoyed me, and this will, I'm sure you will appreciate this, having just yourself gotten married. If I was getting married, and one of my friends, or even the best man at the wedding, decided to tell me he was leaving for Chicago and left during my reception, I'd be steamed.
Nah.
Like, this isn't fucking about you, Ted.
Yeah, no. But it's always about Ted. I mean, I know the show is literally about Ted, but fuck Ted!
How ridiculous! Oh. Can you imagine that? Like, literally, we were at your wedding weeks ago, and if, like, you know, Jane, your husband's brother had said, "Oh, I'm moving to Sydney or something," and we were just like at the wedding, and you and James and a bunch of people went and stood outside crying and doing like this bullshit ET goodbye and this giant high five. You'd be like, Chris, come back to your fucking wedding. Dude, you need to chill.
Yeah.
Save this for tomorrow. Do this. Don't come to the wedding. Don't come to the wedding. And you're going to be like this.
The funniest thing is about that.
Did you do that?
No. But it is kind of something Chris, my brother-in-law, might do.
That is true. Okay.
But no. But, you know, someone would have a word in his ear and be like, Chris.
This isn't about you.
No.
Because even like you have that where people where, you know, and this isn't, I'm trying to think of something that's happened to you. That actually sort of happened to you, but like where people have good news and they don't tell anyone. Like, oh, I don't want to pull focus. So you wouldn't be like, I couldn't imagine it if someone did that and like just randomly came like, oh, you know, well, sorry guys, I was going to tell you, but I'm moving to Chicago. Like, I don't give a shit. Look how stressed I am. I'm at my wedding. Yeah. Do you know how much work went into this? How much money?
Yes.
I can't waste
Why
time.
did you RSVP?
Yeah, why?
That's $100 down the drain.
Yeah. Why are you leaving now? Stay to the end of the thing. Why are you getting a train? Who are you? Why do we hang around with you?
So why is he getting a train back into
the city, back into New York?
So he can go to the airport to go to train.
Yeah. Okay. But then obviously doesn't go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that would be the thing as well. Like,
and he's just at the pub. Like, it's just at the pub. Lily and Marshall go for a drink and they're just like,
why?
The fuck?
Because you'd be like, you know what, Ted? We're done. We're just done with you, mate.
It's over.
You're a nightmare.
God, he would be so annoying to be friends with.
I don't think I've ever had a Ted as a friend. But I do have that worry of, I don't know if you know that expression, or you might not know it, because my mum always says it. If you're in a group of people and you don't know who the dickhead is, it might be you. Oh. So you do have that sort of thing as well, of like, if you don't know if you're...
Sometimes I'm the dickhead.
Oh no, I'm all... It's all the time. Not you all the time, you know. But sometimes you're on a group, you kind of look around and you're like, yeah, this is me. That's fine. I'll just take it.
I'll remove myself.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I need to hang around with more people. You just widen the pool. But yeah, maybe you kind of sit there and you're like, oh, I don't know any Teds. Am I the Ted? Oh my god, I'm not the Barney. Apparently, I don't think I'm a Ted.
We're none of those people.
No, we're not. I mean, that's the thing. Because they are just like people. They are caricatures of real people in the sense of like they are TV people.
I feel like talking about this show is actually revealing quite a lot about us as people and our impatience for other people. Because maybe the kinds of people that like How I Met Your Mother are more tolerant, maybe? I think that, and this is, again, listeners, this is a very bold statement, so feel free to get at me. I think they're younger than us. Because I think this is, like, when I first watched this show, how old were you when you first watched the show? I was 30.
30, and you hated it.
I'm 31 now.
I watched it when I was 24, and I loved it.
Right, okay.
So I was 24, like the first time the show sort of came into my peripheral vision, I was 24, no intention of getting married, hard drinking, living overseas, doing whatever. Yeah. And I thought it was great. And I think the thing was, I thought it was great because I thought I had a friendship group like that. I thought that was what I sort of like took that to be an idea of like, oh, this is what romance is. Because you learn sort of like, in some cases you do learn what like romance and love and stuff like that is sometimes just from TV.
Totally. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I thought sort of like, and then obviously years later, like I think by the time I got to the end of it, I might have been married. I might have been like in my 30s and married. And I'm watching it going like, nah, this is, no, this is not how you act.
But I mean, that's the thing about the show. It went so long. It's like it went long enough for people to grow out of it, I guess.
Well, yeah. If you started watching the episode, if you started watching this TV show when you were, say, 25, you were 34 when it ended, and the 20 like I'm 30. I just turned 33. So if I think like 33, okay. So I started watching it when I was in my early 20s. That guy who was me in my early 20s. We are not the same person.
Yeah,
we have very vastly different opinions on things.
Totally, and that's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is it.
But that's not what happened to any of the characters
and
in
I think
TV show.
Yeah, and they boxed themselves into a hole because the show starts in 2005, but the future's 2030, which is interesting because they don't remotely try and update the technology in any sense. Kind of like because you could go for a few jokes like that. I mean, I don't know if you watch Parks and Rec. Like they did a time jump for 3 years. Like for the last season, the say season 6 ends and it jumps 3 years, and everyone's got like really cool smartphones. Okay. And it's little things like that, like the computers are really smooth like that, but they don't go too mad. But then in the end of the show, they start jumping forward like 10 years, 20 years, and the technology is wild. And it's really funny because it's enough to just add little bits to jokes, but it's not enough to overpower everything.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, when Ted picks up the landline phone to call Robin, I'm like, it's 2030.
Yeah.
That's 13 years from now. I don't think anyone had a landline 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like that wild thing of like, fashions haven't changed. Nothing's changed. Yeah. The only thing they try and give it like lip service by having her say, television, turn on the security cameras, and it doesn't work. And just look out the window
she's
anyway.
Got like a nice futuristic bulb.
Oh yeah, she's got a bulb. Yeah, she's got a Star Wars bulb. And yeah, I mean, this is just picking hairs, splitting hairs. I think the show had gone to shit by this point. Yeah. But you can, I think, pull it out of a death spiral. You can have a good... if you look at like a show that, obviously it's a bad comparison, but like Twin Peaks. Like a common thing with Twin Peaks is you say to people, like when you watch the first 2 seasons, you have to give it to people and say, half of this show is the greatest thing ever made and half of it sucks shit. But the finale redeems the whole thing. And you watch the last episode and you're like, yeah, this is perfect. And even the episodes that are shit, we get this thing, good. If they'd messed up that finale, we would not be watching that show today.
Yeah.
And we definitely wouldn't have a 25-year later thing.
Yeah.
And the thing with this show is, like, if they had nailed this ending, I would say to people, watch How I Met Your Mother. If you want chewing gum visuals, and it's on Netflix, and you just need something to just watch after work, just to decompress, you could do worse than How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
But the problem was, because it was so bad, it unraveled backwards. And I was just like, because I was saying this to someone, when I watched it, the screen goes to black, and the only thing I could see was my own reflection.
What was your face?
Just like, and it was accusative. I was like, well, this is it. You did this to yourself. No one forced you to watch 208 episodes of this. This is all on you.
Yeah.
And now you can sit in that. You can live with this. And
you've made your bed.
You've made your bed. Yeah. And I remember just lying in bed that night and just being like, oh my God, Barney is like a full men's rights activist, probably. And Ted's a psychopath. And this is all. And then just like...
Like, man, baby.
No, this is the worst. Like, I mean, I did think as well, watching them from first to last, the first episode was better, but I think if like someone showed me that now, I might watch a few more episodes, but I don't think it would hook me in. It would only hook me in if kind of like someone could promise me it was going to end well.
We have such a better standard of sitcom today.
We do.
It's
like Cam's
so
after
much
shows.
better. Oh God, yeah, they're just over.
Yeah,
and just thinking about some of the comedies that I watch on TV now. Like, I know Kimmy Schmidt is quite divisive. A lot of people hate that show.
Yeah,
but
But it's
I
better
can get on
than,
board with that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Kimmy
It's
Schmidt
like, pretty
is...
funny.
I thought the first season was great, second season didn't hook me, and I didn't really watch any of it, but when it was great, it was great.
Yeah.
You know, and, like, before I watched this, I watched Master of None.
Yeah.
Master of None's a work of art.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is what you can do with 25 minutes of TV.
Yeah.
And you can fuck around with structure, and you can do interesting things, and you can make a point.
Yeah.
But, like, it's possible that because How I Met Your Mother was on, I think it was on CBS, or some channel in America, which is very much... The big show on CBS at the moment is Big Bang Theory.
Oh, is that...
So it's all the same channel. So I think Big Bang Theory, 2.5 Men. I might be talking shit and I might get letters. I won't get letters. No one listens to this. How I Met Your Mother, Big Bang Theory, 2.5 Men. They were all around the same... I think they saw around the same time.
Okay. 2.5 Men. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, how terrible was that? But that show was mad. That show... I mean, the same with, like... I should have actually done the research on this, but, like, these shows, when they start to run, by the end of it, the actors are on stupid money.
Yeah.
Like, I think everyone on Big Bang Theory gets $1 million an episode.
Oh my god.
And I think, I mean, obviously that was the same like Seinfeld and stuff like that. I think, Friends was $1 million an episode or somewhere in that region. And I can't, if someone said to me, oh yeah, by the last season, all 5 of these were getting upwards of $1 million, I'd be like, yeah, because CBS had a massive hit. And I know, like, Jason Segel tried to leave.
Oh.
Because he'd become a movie star by that point.
Yeah,
like, he was in, like, Forgetting Sarah Marshall and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like that movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It's funny.
And I think they offered him, they must have offered him big
Yeah.
money to sort of stay.
Do you see his dick in that film?
You do.
Yeah.
You see
Sorry.
it twice. He's not fucking around.
I always remember movies where I see actors' dicks. I'm like,
Oh yeah. Have you seen Shame, Michael Fassbender?
No.
It's very good, and you do see his dick.
What's that movie where you see Kevin Bacon's dick?
You see it in Hollow Man, and you see it in Wild Things.
Wild Things, yeah.
Wait, let me get my actor dick book. Hold on a second. Okay, yeah.
I'm so sorry. I've brought the tone down of this podcast down lower than it's Barney Stinson low now.
Well, I will say, I think you see Neil Patrick Harris's dick in Gone Girl. So, there we go. We come right back around.
Cool.
There we go. Maybe that's... So, Cool Girl Amy spoilers for Gone Girl. Cool Girl Amy kills Neil Patrick Harris. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's a comment on How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where Gillian Flynn got the whole thing from. Talking about actually canned laughter, did you think the canned laughter was like really aggressive in that final episode? Because it just struck me, because one thing I remember saying about this show that I really liked, I remember someone saying to me like, oh, I don't like canned laughter shows. And I was maybe saying like, oh, with How I Met Your Mother, it's quite quiet. It's quite low in the background.
Yeah, I can barely actually remember it.
Yeah, but because the thing is, the show isn't filmed live because there's so many cutaways and shit like that. Yeah. So they film it, and then they show it to a theatre, they record
right.
that. But I don't think that's true. I think it is, because I think... Yeah, it's How I Met Your Mother, and there's one woman who like has this really loud braying laugh.
I think you've mentioned this.
Yeah, and I think she's on a couple of episodes, and I think but the last episode, it just felt like, and this was the same with the last episode of Friends as well. It was like they just pressed play on the canned laughter, and then just walked out for a couple, like, because at points it's like a character will look like just always in the background, and just for like lines of dialogue, you're like, yeah, I guess, but
yeah.
I don't think I need the cue for that one.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like that with the entire show, though. I'm like, at most, I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. By the way, can you get canned laughter for this
Oh,
podcast?
yeah,
That would be so great.
That would be pretty good.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, no, I could totally do it.
Whenever we like drop zingers, just be like, ah!
Yeah, you can, because you get like this is a bit grim. I think I've mentioned this in the podcast before, but you get like obviously all the canned laughter comes from like the 50s, like I Love Lucy. So in theory, you are listening to the laughter of dead people. Which makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
It's quite poignant. Sorry, I keep diverting. I hope that's okay.
No, of course. That's fine. Don't worry about it. I think really, like, for this finale, most of my notes are... Yeah, okay. So I think most of my notes are essentially, it's like, yeah, the Barney thing didn't make sense. This would have been, and this would have partially redeemed the entire show. If we've been watching this first episode, and when Barney's talking about getting married, if he'd said, you're out of your mind, I'm never going to look at a girl and say, you are my everything,
Yeah.
and then he'd said that to the baby, I would have just been like, this show's genius.
Yeah.
That would have been perfect.
Yeah,
and I would have
yeah.
walked away, because that would have been a thing that I wouldn't have noticed until like after I watched the show, and someone would have pointed it out on the internet, and then I would have seen it here and been like, that's good. But the weird thing is, Barney and babies never been a plot line, I don't think.
No.
Like, I think Robin couldn't have kids, and that was a thing.
Didn't he steal someone's baby to attract women at some point?
For fuck's sake, yeah, probably.
And he was like wearing it in like a front
Yep,
baby
that sounds,
front
yeah, like a papoose thing, yeah.
And like, I'm pretty sure there was some plot line where he stole a baby, or like, signed up to babysit, or some fucked up shit involving children. Anyway,
anywho,
yeah,
but yeah, I mean that's never been really that much of a thing. And then it's like, so they have that bit in the pub where he says, "I'm never going to say to a girl, you're my everything that I am." And then 5 minutes later, he's saying it to the baby, and you're like, you haven't earned this.
No.
You haven't earned this payoff.
Because, it's quite a touching moment when he sees this child.
Yeah.
And a child that he doesn't even want, that he's, like, trying to run 1,000 miles from.
Whose mother we never meet, and who never gets a name.
Yeah, who's just 31.
Someone he banged on the last day of the month.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that would have been great. That would have been a really good payoff. But it's like, it's that weird laziness of like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's fine. Because the thing is, though...
It's almost like these idiots will eat shit if we serve it to them.
I mean, it's the final episode, so bollocks to it. Yeah. But the interesting thing as well is this... I almost feel as though a massive portion of this episode was written back in season 2 when they recorded the kids, and then they just added little bits on. Because, like, there's parts of it where I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't... What? You don't need Barney to be redeemed again. Like, Robin redeems him.
Yeah.
Then they get divorced because of her work.
Yeah.
Then he turns back into an asshole. Then he has a baby. Then he's redeemed again. You're like, he was redeemed.
Yeah.
Leave him redeemed. It's fine. Leave them married.
It's like, fine. It's yo-yo dieting.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Stinson.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the same thing with Ted. It's like, I mean, there's a weirdness to the fact that, like, you know, I don't know, I think it's just a weird thing, because if you look at the time frame of it, it's like, you went on a date with a girl 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And now you're coming back around to that after she's divorced your friend?
Yeah.
I'm like, the mother's been dead for 6... Oh, I guess the mother's been dead for 6 years, but they have interacted because the daughter says, they flirt with each other at dinner. And you're like, they do that in front of your kids, mate.
Yeah.
In your wife's house.
Yeah, no.
Jesus.
Yeah.
But I don't... Because the weird thing is, like, the weirdest thing with the Robin and Ted twist at the end...
Twist? Is it a twist, or is
it just... They call it a twist.
It's so not a twist.
It's not a twist.
It's like, are you kidding me? Oh my god, why did you do this? Unnecessary.
Because no one wanted it.
No one wanted it. It was fine.
Yeah.
Ted and Robin was not a thing. Stop trying to make Ted and Robin happen.
Yeah, and they sort of like... Because even that final episode where she sort of has like a long lingering look at him at Halloween and then says to Lily, who am I going to hang out with? You two are all familied up. My divorced husband's an idiot. And the guy who I should have been with... Like, whoa, back that up. When?
Yeah, and
when was this established?
She said no so many times. She turned him down so many times. She was like, no, I don't want you.
And he's like, oh, but he had a locket that he threw into that whole locket nonsense.
Oh, God, yeah, that was...
Which, again, if you role reversed that and had a woman show up at a guy's wedding with, like, a bit of jewellery she'd stolen from his house, it's a horror movie. But instead it's just like, Ted... Well, you go.
Oh, you hopeless romantic.
Oh, you hopeless romantic. But still, get the fuck off.
Yeah.
But wait 15 years. Show up my house a bit of a... Because, I mean, let's also face facts. That blue French horn isn't still on the wall 25 years later. Because I know they take the blue horn back at some point. But, like, they didn't try. I don't know. I think that just annoyed me. It's like, it's 2030. You've really boxed yourself in there.
Yeah.
And that's it. I think. I mean, it's... I will say, actually, sorry, when he had the monologue and he's talking about how much he loved the wife and the wife got sick, I actually got a bit teary.
Yeah.
I thought that was actually well done and quite sad, but at the same time, I was more sad in the sense of, like... Because, they boxed themselves into another corner because it was like, we'll introduce Tracy, and then Tracy has to be so likeable and charming and lovely that it would make sense that we've watched 8 years waiting for this woman to arrive. And she is. I think she's amazing. I think that actress is incredible.
Yeah. Is she in anything else?
She's in the second season of Fargo.
Oh, okay.
And Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh.
But she is in Wolf Force for like 2 minutes, and then she gets dumped for Margot Robbie. And she's really, really good, and she's really charming, and I really liked her, and I thought she was like, I was like, why wasn't she in the show 3 years ago? It was a little like injection of life.
Yeah.
And then they kill her off, and then he gets with Robin. You're like, well, no, because you've made that character. They would have to have made Tracy not that likable to make you prefer Robin over her, because it is that. I mean, they do sort of try and have their cake and eat it too by saying like, oh no, he did meet the mother, but she died after having 2 kids, and they had a wonderful time, and now he can go off with Robin. You're like, didn't need it, didn't want it, no one wanted it, no one was calling out for this. Yeah. No one was saying, oh, Ted should be with Robin. No one was saying anything. Everyone was like, this show needs to die. There needs to be a stake put through its heart, head off, buried at a crossroads, constant guards. Can't come back. Can't come back. And it will come back.
I wanted to talk briefly about Lily's latent lesbianism. Remember that plotline? So there were all of these hints that Lily was like went both ways a little bit, and she was super attracted to Robin.
Yes,
and there was also a little reference to how she found Marshall when they were in college.
Yeah,
and that she so. The story is that she knocked on the door because her stereo was broken.
Yeah.
Marshall answered the door and she was like, but actually what happened was she'd previously seen Marshall, and then she knocked on every door in the dorm to try and find him.
Right.
And she knocked on the door of a girl and had the same feeling of like,
Okay.
But then she was like, no, I'm trying to find this guy. So I think there's a moment where Lily and Robin kiss.
Okay.
And Lily's like, yeah, okay, I'm over that now. Like it's been 9 years because it's in the final season.
Yes.
She's like, yeah, nah, I'm over it. But Robin is like, and like blossoms into her like bisexuality or whatever.
See, that's a show I'd watch. Lily and Robin just like suck off the dudes and just go up, solve mysteries.
Yeah. I thought that was a really funny kind of another funny plot line that didn't involve the men at all.
Yeah.
So it had that going for it. But unfortunately, the way that it was presented was kind of like, ha ha ha, lesbians. Yeah. What? 2 girls? Why am I aroused? Like, it was kind of more like that than like...
than woke.
Woke, yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
But I found that quite an amusing plot line. Yeah. And it carried throughout the entire series, and it didn't get old. Much like the Robin is Canadian thing. I think, I really kind of liked the women's stories much more than I liked the men's in this show.
Yeah, I think there was some really interesting stuff, because Alison Hannigan's a great actress, so they did use that well, in the sense of, like, there was a great one where I think Ted's hung up on Robin, and Willow, Lily's talking to him, and he won't tell her what's happening, and she says, if I tell you something that I'm ashamed of, I'm hiding, you have to tell me. And he goes, okay, and she says that she wishes the kid had never been born. And just sometimes I wish the kid had never been born and that I could go and do all this stuff. And I was like, Jesus, that is raw.
Yeah.
But I imagine there are people who just kind of connected with that. Like, oh, God, that's really interesting.
Totally.
And really, like, on... And then, like, Ted's like, oh, my God, that's terrible. I love Robin. Like, yeah, let's follow that plot for 5 more fucking years.
No one cares, Ted.
Lily's just like, yeah, cool, I'll just go. I'll go back to the children and just keep pumping kids out and mothering this giant fucking Sasquatch of a man.
Also, I can't remember if I already said this, but I find it so hard to believe that Marshall is a lawyer. Like, so not a lawyer. I mean, not that, obviously lawyers come in all shapes and sizes, but that guy, there's no way he's a lawyer. Or a judge as a Supreme Court. What?
It is quite ridiculous, isn't it? It's because I think they do have that weird thing of, like, they're such... Again, the women have more interesting jobs.
Yeah.
Like Lily's a kindergarten teacher and she's obviously a newsreader, but then, like, Ted's a fucking architect.
I know.
Give him something
that
interesting.
That makes me hate him even more.
Yeah, it's just
Nothing against architects, but God, it's like...
You gotta, And
then there's that whole thing with Barney's job, where...
No one knows what it is.
No one knows what it is, and then it turns... Actually, that was really weird. how it turned out that he was like on a mission to bring down this evil company from the inside. And remember
that I don't remember. I think I've just completely blanked on that.
No, it was really weird, tacked on.
Yeah.
Kind of amusing, but also like, what? You just didn't have a job for Barney, and now you've made up this elaborate lie. Like, I say elaborate backstory.
Oh yeah.
But it's like a lie that's just too elaborate.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. Like, because you do. I can't really think of a recent show that's sort of done this, but like back in the day, or mostly with like sitcoms, you do have that thing where like one character breaks out. The actor's really good, or the character's really good, or the catchphrases are really catchy. And then they begin to dominate the show. And it happened a lot. You see a lot in the 80s, like Urkel and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Barney was very much the sort of breakout character because the lead character in the show was such a fucking drip.
Yeah.
And Barney had all the catchphrases, and Neil Patrick Harris is really good, and he can sing, and he can dance, and he can do the whole thing. But then they positioned him at the start of like, well, this guy is a sex pest who works for like an evil bank.
Yeah.
So somehow we have to make that palatable without taking away the basic idea of the character. So we'll make him, he's involved in espionage?
Yeah.
Just have him be an evil banker. We were into that.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was a thing of like that flew in 2005, then the GFC happened in 2008,
right.
and you're like, shit. Like, scale this back.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I think that was, when this show was good, and there was definitely, I think it was the 4th season, I think it was the Stella season, when Ted was going to get married and he got left at the altar and all that.
Yeah.
I think that's the good one, that's the peak of the show. But the problem is, when you do have just like whole seasons of nothing, and then it's just like, just limps to the finish. And the problem with that is like, you can't even, I wouldn't say to someone, oh yeah, just watch one season of this show. You're like, well, you've got to really see who the mother is, but it doesn't matter now. It's like Dexter. Dexter's actually a perfect example. Dexter ran for 9 seasons. Dexter had enough plot for 2 or 3 or 4, and just dug itself into a hole, got worse. And the finale of that show is, I only watched like the first 2 or 3 seasons of Dexter. I didn't watch it all the way through. That finale offended me, and I only had to spend 45 minutes with it. Like, I hadn't watched the whole thing, and like when I was talking to my guest, he was like, "Oh no, I watched this show in real time." It's like, because of Dexter, I moved to like live in Miami. Like, that was like, it's like a big like formative thing to me. Like, so it really hurt when the show went really shitty.
Yeah.
But he sort of clung to the hope it was going to get better.
Yeah. Oh,
so when we were talking about,
that breaks my heart.
It's all, well, I think it was redeemed by the fact that I was like, would you like to spend an hour ripping shit through the finale? He's like, yes, please.
Is that? I think I listened to that one.
Oh, yeah, listened to that one.
Yeah, where you were outraged that there was like no incident report.
Oh my god, it's an absolute nightmare. That episode is offensive how bad it is. They have just like written it on a pub napkin and been like, yeah, film it. Like, at least with this, I feel as though they might have been trying something and they just lost the thread of it.
Yeah.
Like, I think they sort of like after the second year, they were like, right, guys, Ted's going to end up with Robin. That's how it's going to end. That's what we're writing towards. We know we don't know the structure of the joke, but we know the punchline, and we'll just get there.
Yeah.
And then the show kept going, and I feel like there's a little bit of arrogance or a little bit of hubris where someone's just had on a board in the writers' room, Ted gets with Robin, and it's always been, this is where we're going.
And the monkeys at the typewriter are like,
click, suit up.
What up?
Yeah. And
sex offense.
Cross that. It's called comedy. But yeah, and I think at some point someone should have gone, boss, we can't work anymore. Yeah. The show's called How I Met Your Mother. We have a built-in ending. Shows don't get that. Like, every other show doesn't have a title that tells you how the show ends.
Yeah. Yes, true.
Nothing else. It's not like...
And then we come back to, could be such a great premise for a show.
Yeah.
Could have been so good.
Could have been. Well, so that brings me to, have you ever heard of the TV show How I Met Your Dad?
Is it real?
Sort of.
Are you writing this show?
Yes.
Oh.
Right now.
No, what is How I Met Your Dad?
So it was a spin-off of How I Met Your Mother. Whole new cast. Meg Ryan was the voice. didn't get one episode got made, didn't get picked up.
Okay.
So what happened was, so it's a female. I can't remember the cast, but I know Meg Ryan was the voice, and it was pretty much a similar sort of setup. Yeah. And Meg Ryan was like, "Kids, let me tell you a story." And so on. So basically, they were going to make it. It got announced. The finale came on. 2 weeks later, they said, "We're not making it."
Oh. So
I took that to be there was so much backlash, people just didn't want it.
Yeah.
Then maybe a year later, on AV Club, someone had leaked the script.
Oh, that's so juicy.
So I was like, okay, what's that? and they leaked the script and told the story. And apparently, what happened was so the script got put. I think it got filmed, and basically they filmed it, put it to a test audience, and the test audience said, thumbs down. And went back to the same writers as this, Carter Bays and someone Thomas Bays? I don't know, the two dudes. And basically said this needs a full rewrite, we need to do it again. And they said no. Now, they either said no because they were like, we've lived in this for 9 years, you can fuck right off. Yeah. Or they're like, no, we've made a hit show, you'll make our show. So I don't know. They just said no. They said no, we're not gonna work on this anymore. Yeah. And the studio said, we're not gonna bring in any more writers, we're not gonna put any more money in it, it's done.
Yeah.
So I read the pilot. And it's a remake pretty much exactly of the first episode of this.
Oh,
it even has at the end the same sort of twist of like, oh, actually, she's talking about how she met their uncle John or Bill or Bob, whatever.
Oh.
And the jokes in it are like, I actually found when I read that, I was like, fucking hell, they were much better when they did this.
Yeah.
Because the jokes I'll have to find the thing and send it to you, because the jokes just hit a wall.
Oh,
I guess like a good performer could do something with them, but they just like, you read it on the page and it's just like, shit. That is like, it's I don't know, can you be less than a first draft? Can it just be a note like that you've scribbled down in the middle of the night? So that was the show they were going to make. So that could have been happening. And I mean, the only good thing that would have come up from that is Meg Ryan doing something. Yeah. Meg Ryan hasn't done anything for ages.
Yeah. Oh God, that pains me actually to imagine.
Because what's odd? What really? Like, it's called How I Met Your Dad. Why isn't it called How I Met Your Father?
Yeah.
Which is again just an odd thing. But yeah, they pretty much were gonna it looked as though they were just gonna remake How I Met Your Mother again.
No,
which is odd.
That's not okay anymore.
No,
TV
I think
land, Hollywood. You can't just recycle anymore.
Well, the thing is,
audiences do not want.
No. I think there is definitely a good chance at some point someone is pitching or something's going to happen. And Netflix brought back Full House.
Yeah.
And Roseanne is coming back.
Oh, that's kind of.
They're just going to pretend that Dan didn't die, and John Goodman's going to be in the show.
Oh,
yeah. So I think they're going to do that, and obviously Twin Peaks has just come back.
Yeah.
And Twin Peaks was very much a show that was dead as disco, and Arrested Development's new season next year and so forth.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I take that back. Audiences do want recycled, but only the good stuff, not the bad.
Full House.
Oh. All right, I take it all back.
But the thing is, though, is this bad though in the world? If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like if you look at Lost, people sort of say, "Oh my god, the Lost finale was shit," or people, I thought it was great. I fucking cried my eyes out. I thought it was genius, and I think it's a 50-50 split.
Yeah.
But with this, interestingly enough, audiences everywhere, the website I write for Valentine's Day, did one of the writers, the guy who was on this podcast to do the Terminator thing, Anton Reyes, wrote a article about why the show is romantic and lovely and wonderful and great and amazing.
Maybe I will read that article.
Maybe. Now, keep in mind, I think Anton is 19 or 20.
Okay.
So maybe it is the same thing I said. Maybe it's my ageist thing where they're like, he doesn't know.
Maybe I just need a little bit of youthful optimism in my life.
Well, that's it. I mean, Anton is very much that. He's youthful optimism. He's a whip-smart dude. He's awesome. So I'm sort of like, when I saw that, I was like, oh. Because he did ask to do this show, and I was like, I can't put you through that, mate.
Sorry, Anton.
Sorry, mate. Because it would have just been the thing of like, he would have come on and be like, oh my god, I love this show. I'm like, do you? Because I'll tell you why, you're fucking wrong. Let's talk about this finale. Let's talk about it. And I think that would have been over Skype, so it would have just been horrible for the poor guy. Just me in his headphones. Like, you at least can kind of get up and walk around.
Sitting all over the show he loves.
Like, obviously you can't see this if you're listening to this on your iPod or whatever, but we are sat at a big table drinking cups of tea with a plate full of biscuits. I don't offer that to everyone, because I can't, because everyone's on Skype. But this is like a nice, cordial atmosphere. My wife's in the background reading a paper, I think, or asleep. Oh yeah, if he's planning to go to LA, we can go to the How I Met Your Mother making of. It's probably in New York. Oh, would it be in LA? I don't care. Who knows? I don't. Okay, so anyway, I think it is one of those things that people. Occasionally it will come up on like Tumblr and Twitter and stuff like that, and like people do have like fan accounts and they share quotes and they share jokes. And it's the same way. Like I always assumed everyone knew that Friends was shit, and it's not. I'm really in the minority. Like I will talk to people and they'll be like,
I quite like Friends.
Yeah, why? But then I guess it's just different strokes. I
only remember the good jokes, like when Monica got a turkey on her head. That was pretty funny.
That was pretty good. Yeah. I mean, I think it would be an interesting one. I probably should do this. I'll do this as a poll on the on Twitter, like which is better, How I Met Your Mother or Friends.
That would be interesting, actually.
That would be interesting. Because there's a big comparison between the two shows. They are like a group of friends, obviously, and there's sort of hookups between them, and they go from house to coffee shop, house to bar.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I think that's pretty standard. But, yeah, I mean, I think the thing... I don't know, I think, like you say, it ended, How I Met Your Mother, and it was very much a sense of, like, I've wasted so much time.
Yeah.
And I've learned nothing, and I've taken nothing from it. Like, because even if you have a show that ends up being shit, and you're like, yeah, but I had that, whatever. You're like, I mean, say Dexter, which turned out to be shit. There were good seasons, like really solid seasons.
Yeah.
Or I learned that like some of the actors were really good, and I followed their careers onwards. But like,
there's none of that.
I guess the thing with it, actually, I will say as that a point, How I Met Your Mother, nothing really with Josh Radnor. Like, I haven't really seen him do anything. Like, Ted probably made crazy money off the show.
Yeah,
so maybe he's just chilling. But like obviously Neil Patrick Harris has just done.
He's doing everything, right?
Yeah, I mean, when he got cast as Count Olaf in the series of Unfortunate Events,
he's so funny.
He's amazing in it. And I was sort of like, when that happened, I was like, Barney, shit. But I was like, no, because he's better than that.
Oh, he's so much better than Barney.
Oh, he's genius. And like, when the show got renewed, like in Unfortunate Events, he got the eye tattoo done for real. Like he's hardcore for the show.
That's really cool.
And obviously Jason Segel's ace, and he continues to do cool, weird stuff. And Alison Hannigan, I love since Buffy.
Yeah.
And Kobe Smulders is amazing.
Yeah.
Like she has just that incredibly good. She's like so dry and genius, and she's great in all the Avengers movies and shit like that. So.
Yeah, she's cool.
I guess that's what you take from it.
Yeah.
And a few of the writers on the show went on to do bigger and better things and stuff like that.
Good for them.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
don't let this hold you back, guys.
Yeah, that's it. You just clean. You just have to just make it work.
You got to get your start somewhere.
That's it, exactly. But yeah, it was, I just want to make sure I've definitely got everything because I never want to talk about this show again. Even though I think... someone's going to say, can I come on and do the positive version? I'll be like, yeah. And then I'll have to like, I don't know what I'll do. I'll just sit in and be like, yeah, Barney was really funny. Don't know why that bitch on the last show was saying he was a sex pest. You know what I mean? Bitches be tripping.
Political correctness has gone too far.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, God. Make America great again, I say.
Oh, this is like how Clickhole, you know that parody, Clickhole became Patriot Hole. That was so good.
But yeah, that's what I'll have to do. I'll just spin my spin my allegiances. Okay, let me see. So I've got here, the E.T. goodbye really annoyed me. The last high five really annoyed me. I did laugh at Be Cool Lady Damn.
Yeah, that was good.
That was great. But the problem was, actually, and this was a thing that Fiona pointed out as she was sort of passing through, the jokes would land, and then they'd keep trying to land them. So that Be Cool Lady Damn, he does it again.
Yeah, I know.
No, you had one of them.
Yeah, that was good that one time.
Yeah, and there's one later on where something happens, punchline, and then the punchline happens again. You're like, no, don't do it again. That's not how jokes work, comedy writers.
It's the guy that says the punchline. It's like,
yeah, he says it again.
And you're like, shut up, I got it.
I did actually do one of those recently, which I was not happy with.
Yeah, I know, I do that. If you don't know who the dickhead is, it's you.
Yeah,
that is a perfect example. I often say the punchline twice.
Well, I have a thing. I'm on Slack, like the business thing. The website I write for, we have this one of them. It's all the writers, and it's just like all split into groups and everything. Everyone chats, and someone was like, "Oh, have you seen this movie news?" And it was someone had hacked Disney, stolen the new Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and we're going to leak it to the world if Bob Iger, whatever his name is, the head of Disney, didn't pay the ransom, and Bob Iger wasn't going to pay the ransom. So we're talking about that. So
what world are we living in?
Well, that's it. This is the 2017. This is the world we live in. So I put, well, then I guess they're the real pirates of the Caribbean, and got nothing.
Oh, what?
So 24 hours later, the next day I woke up and I looked and no one had reacted to it. So I just wrote, I said, I guess they're the pirates. 24 hours later, is this thing on? And stop. No one is into this. Walk away.
Nah, I would have been so into that.
I thought the joke was great, but I think, tough crowd. Or they just were like, we're not giving him the satisfaction. If we let him have this one, he'll think he's king shit of Fuck Mountain, and then we'll never get rid of him. Okay, so anything else? No. I think. Yeah, for some reason my last note is just so gross, which is unfortunate.
So gross.
I think it was last one. There was quite cool. There was quite a cool amount of callbacks to early episodes. They had a few flashbacks, they had a few things like that.
Yeah,
that was good. I believe they had a Have You Met Ted? They did have a Have You Met Ted, which was a direct sort of.
Yes, yeah.
But But the and obviously the big callback was the Blue French Ron, Smurf penis. But it didn't work.
Nah, it wasn't funny in the first episode. It wasn't funny in the second. Any of the episodes.
That was it. He says Smurf penis, and she chokes on her drink, and it's like, kids, when you're on a date, don't mention Smurf penises. And she starts laughing and says, but Robin wasn't like other dates, other girls, whatever. You're like, oh, fuck you.
Yeah, shut up.
Fuck you, old man Ted.
Yeah.
Who, when you are an old man telling a story, you suddenly lose that voice.
Yeah.
Weird. Anyway. Chris, if people wanted to find you on the internet, would you want them to?
Sure.
Okay, where would they find you?
I'm on Twitter. My username is Christina Cox. Chox. Christina spelled the usual way. Cool. Yeah. I'm also on Instagram, but it's mainly just pictures of my cat. Same username.
Cute cat.
It's a cute cat.
As usual, you can get in touch with me on Twitter. It's at firsttolastpod, or you can email me directly at fromfirsttolastpodcast@gmail.com. We've mentioned it quite a few times today, so go to audienceseverywhere.net to read movie news, reviews, and all good stuff. Like I said at the start, if you listen to this and you are steamed at the character assassination that we've just performed on How I Met Your Mother...
I hope people are steamed.
Oh, they'll be steamed. Oh, they'll be on
Bring
the
it!
boards.
Bring it!
You can... Well, we could probably arrange something where we find someone who has a really positive opinion about it, and I can bring Chris back, and we can do like a round table Q&A thing. Or we'll do that thing where I just completely do a 180, and suddenly I am the biggest fan of this show that ever was. Or we'll work it out. We could even do a point-counterpoint. So if someone wants to come on and defend the show and explain why it's so good, go for it. I'm sure someone out there is just like, they're just looking at their How I Met Your Mother tattoo and thinking, I will make this work. There's a tattoo that says,
Blue French horn,
suit up, or what'd you have? You'd have like, legend, on your knuckles, wait for it.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm pointing. This is a podcast. Sorry. So you'd have it on the inside of your arm, legend, and then on your... What am I talking about?
Yeah.
Knuckles, yeah. Wait for it on your knuckles,
and then on the other
dairy
wrist.
on the other arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrible. Someone has that.
Yeah, can someone get that, actually?
Oh, 100%. As soon as it's done, I'm going to Google.
I'll give someone $100 if they do it.
There you go. That's binding, because it's been said in a podcast. Though the tattoo would cost much more than $100, but...
I only have $100. I just really want someone to do it.
Okay, well, you know where to send the pictures.
If you're that big a fan, you will.
Oh, 100,000% someone has a How I Met Your Mother tattoo, and the second I stop this recording, I'm going on Google Images and I'm finding it. And I will post it. Anyway, thank you for coming on, Chris. This has been wonderful.
Thank you for having me.
No problem, and obviously feel free to come back again in the future. My name is Sean Fallon. This has been From First to Last. Goodbye.